Hello, this is Simon Jackson from the FastTrack COVID-19 Working from Home response. I'm lucky today to be joined by Amir and Shadab, who are subject matter experts for enterprise mobility and security in the FastTrack Centre team in Australia. So Amir and Shadab, thank you very much for joining us today. I want you to imagine a case study where a customer has just purchased or just acquired a whole bunch of Intune licenses, got a whole bunch of people under lockdown working from home. What should they be thinking about? How are they going to use those licenses and what benefit would they be of? So I'll ask you both in turn. Amir, if I could start with you, please, mate.
Yeah, so when we have Intune license and we want to use it, it's like, so we are going to manage our apps or devices and be on different type of devices. So it's good to be ready for that. It's more about, first of all, what type of management I need on those type of devices, right? So it's like, but that can be a starting point, like, of course, what the other thing is like what feature available and what type of management I can have on it. When we define that, when we know what features available, and then based on what is the one you needed for the device management, you can start rolling out Intune and then start adoption of that. It's like think about type of devices, how to enroll them into the management, and what type of configuration do you need, and what type of app you want for users. The example here is going to be just a typical example is when you have Wi-Fi setup, you may want to have set up VPN, you may want to have like compliance of the, for example, if your device is jailbroken, it has PIN setup, like some simple things like this. Yeah, so it's going to, its summary is going to be, you're thinking of what type, how do you define your device is compliant, what type of config you want to push, and then what type of app, and then we can continue from there.
Does it have to be a corporate device, Amir, or is this cover BYOD if a user has their own devices at home?
Yeah, it's a good question. Actually, we can cover everything. It's just knowing for BYOD devices or corporate-owned devices, you may want a different type of enrollment. But no.
And Shadab, how does that help me as a customer? What I'm getting some security. I've got BYOD. What are the features here that I can use to manage those devices? What benefits does it give me as an administrator, particularly for working from home?
Right. So one of the things that I would suggest before, getting into the features and what it does and what it does not, etc., it's important to understand what your enterprise's goal is basically it. So what kind of mobility that you would want for your users. As Amir mentioned, it includes every type of form factor, corporate owned devices, bring your own device, etc. But one has to evaluate what type of infrastructure you have, what type of security and compliance that you would want. So that planning ahead is important to understand before we get into the implementation. And also we know that mobility is an area which evolves dynamically. It's not something that is what it was yesterday going to be same today. And of course, not tomorrow, right? What we have seen with the spread of this contagious disease. So it's important to really evaluate that as to what mobility means for me as an enterprise or a company, or even, and more importantly, rather, what it means for my users. So I would suggest that we understand that a little bit. And to that, if I may add, let's just list two things here. So do I have to give a device to my users, or are they going to bring their own devices? With the way people have this phone device and also a lot of other authentication methods consider that to be an integral part of security, it's rather considerate for any organization to not rather give an additional phone device to the user, but utilize what they have, right? It helps them to keep account of it, and rather than managing two separate phone devices for one purpose and for another, creates a bit of confusion, and also they may they may end up misplacing or displacing one or the other device, just to be as basic as it can get, right?
Very good point. Amir, what are some of the key considerations we touched very briefly on features, but what are some of the key ones? Is it security? What are the key things we're looking at here?
So yeah, when in the work from home scenario, especially, so it's like we have, so let's say a user wants to work from home. You want to let the user be productive, access resources, corporate resources, right? But you want to make sure security in place. So maybe one of the things you want to make sure is the user is using the right device to access the corporate resources, right? So it's like, which means when we talk about right device, means we want to make sure device is compliant, or device is meeting the company's policy, or even it is, when we talk again device, as I said, iOS, Android, Windows, all included. And then with the Intune, we check if the device meets the company requirement, and then with conditional access, we use that to let user access. That's the first things, I mean, for the security one. But the other things for work from home is like, for example, user need application or some sort of configuration on the device, which we can, if there is any needs, we can manage those configuration or application remotely.
Very good summary, thank you. The other security features that are built into Intune, is it complicated to set up?
Absolutely not. And in fact, one of the key points from the start, rather, from the way the interface looks, from the way the access of each configuration is segregated, to the security offerings for different form factors are categorized, these make the steps to control or configure any options very simple for any user. And perhaps if you go through one of the walkthroughs or demos of any doc.microsoft.com articles, it will give you the exact picture of how it can be configured. And as for the security options, we have different considerations, and obviously there is no one medicine for all cures. So it is the same way that you configure and understand the type of scenario that you would be expecting to happen. For example, a scenario for security would differ for a school or an education institution than that of a bank or a financial organization. So it is important to evaluate those and understand if they need or require granular control or an over the top control, or if they need a particular solution to safeguard the access of resources by the users.
Great answer, thank you. I wonder if you just give us a quick overview of what those attacks are, things like spray attacks, and what does that mean, and how is Intune helping us?
Our users are targeted by different type of attacks, like password spray attack, and we have people wants to try to get access to the users password, user access, and then access the resources. But with the device management, for example, in place, let's say, even if you are, first of all, we have that protection in place to block those type of attack, like password spray, breach replay attack. But if that's, with device compliance in place, let's say, even if your account is breached, right, you have someone access your accounts, they won't be able to access any resources until you use the managed machine, right? So it's like, Intune can Intune send, data. Intune can tell if the device the user is accessing from is a compliant device or not. So this means even if if my account is breached and someone try to access from using my username and password, they won't be able to access because they are not on compliant device. That's how we can use MDM here, or the Intune here.
So it's security in depth. It's layer upon layer.
Yeah.
Shadab, you'd agree with that?
Right.
Is there
I would absolutely, and I would like to add something very particular for Intune. As we know, Intune is, or even for those who don't know, Intune is an mobile device management as well as mobile application management infrastructure. It gives you the control to control the devices in either of those scenarios. So for example, if a user, or if you want your users to be able to access the corporate or organization resources fully, we would recommend you to enroll the devices. And if you would want the users to be only able to access, for example, email resources, then probably they can just protect that app using the app protection policies, triggering that with multi-factor authentication to safeguard any data leakage, or to safeguard any chances of breach by any malicious actor.
So very configurable, huh? It's a flexible platform. You talked about planning in one of your answers, Shadab. I'm interested, what are the resources around that you would recommend to customers as they were starting that planning process?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, one way to think at is that effective adoption requires effective communication with your end users. And there are really important concerns that users may have. Some users may be technically more advanced than others, and they may find it very easy or simple to perform certain tasks on the devices in either ways in cases, or they may know certain configurations and they may know what it means, etc. But not all. So what level of technology experience do our users have? It's one of the most important concerns to keep that in mind. And if possible, obviously, whatever channel you can use, communicate that proactively. Understand the knowledge level and experience of what technology range they come from. If it is, for example, again, what type of company you are. If it is an education, it may have a different degree of technical expertise. Also, it it's important for them to understand what exactly is going to happen when you are going to manage the devices. What kind of management are you going to implement on the devices? The last thing, rather, I would say, is there will be a certain degree of action or inaction that would be required from the users. Prepare them, demonstrate, record videos, take it from Microsoft doc sites, the launching page. It will include certain tutorials how to enroll devices, so the users can see what exactly it entails to enroll a device or uh, configure an application with protection policies, what exactly it would look like to them.
Thank you, Shadab. Amir, just building on that a little bit, Shadab talked a lot about users. Are there any other tools for, say, admins or decision maker that might be useful?
Yeah, so we have Intune adoption kit, which is actually if you're looking for some comms for your end users, because that's, I think, very important, because you want to make sure users know how to enroll, for example, devices, how to work within this new technology if it's new for them. So that is like we have a ready email template and some link how to enroll for end users, and you can just customer can customize it with the branding and then share with their users, make it easy for them to just communicate with the user, give them that material. And also there is common scenarios page if you are looking for just what when you want to start new product, what's the common ways to manage Intune or to use Intune for device management. There are some that link is also available. It's like how to protect, for example, email, or it's like how to manage apps, how to, it's different. It goes through different typical common scenarios.
Yeah, this is very useful information, isn't it? Because a lot of our customers will be going through very similar things to this, so they may well be there already. Great, gentlemen. I think that's a terrific intro to Intune as what we wanted to achieve today was just that high level. There are some excellent workshops these guys run, and they provide a terrific assistance to customers. So we'll put perhaps guys, some key links maybe in the description of this video. Also, contact details will flow up on the screen shortly. Please get in touch with me and I can introduce you to Amir and or Shadab as you go through. So Amir, thank you very much for your time and your input. Shadab, thank you for yours. Any last minute things you'd say, gents?
Yeah, thanks, Simon.
You're welcome.
I would say, we are all in this together. So please take care. Stay at home.
Well said, Shadab. Stay in your bubble. Okay, gents, really appreciate your time. Thanks again. Bye.
Great day.
Thank you.